How many of you grew up like I did, not rich? We weren't poor, we just weren't rich. I remember about 12 years old, I wanted to ride my bicycle about a mile down the road to the local Quick Sack. And I was going to go down there and get me an icy. Y'all got ices here? I came in and asked my dad. I said, Dad, I need some money to go to the Quick Sack. And my dad said, how old are you? I said, well, I'm your son. I'm 12. And he said, you're 12 years old. You don't need money. You need a job. Y'all know the kind of dad I'm talking about. Some of you had one like that. My dad didn't think that work was a management theory. It was something you did. It was an activity. And so he said, you need to get some money. Where are you going to get some money? And I said, well, some of my buddies are cutting grass. I guess I could cut grass. So he took me, true story, down on Nolensville Road. I grew up in Antioch, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. Took me down the main drag there in Nashville, Tennessee. Took me to a print shop and printed up 500 business cards, said Dave's Lawns. I said, Dad, this is a little overkill. I just wanted an icy. Came home and he said, you're going to knock on the closest 50 doors here in the neighborhood and you ask those people with enthusiasm if you can have the opportunity to provide their lawn care needs. Don't you knock on the door and say, you don't want me to cut your grass, do you? So he taught me marketing. We had junior achievement. Junior best be achieving something. So I did. I went and knocked on the closest 50 doors and it worked. Got 27 yards to cut. I was 12 years old. This is child abuse. I mean, 19 of them were right in a row. I just went down the street like this. Made me keep a profit and loss statement on my business. My income minus his lawnmowers I tore up equals net profit. Yeah, I found out the difference in gross and net pretty quick. It's good to work. Work is a good thing. Proud of my dad for teaching that mean little bald-headed kid that stuff. I graduated from high school. I'm 18 years old. 3 weeks later, passed my real estate license. Started selling real estate. Took off to college and went through college in 4 years, which is what you do if you're paying for it. You don't hang out, you know. It's like every time I stay here longer, it costs more. I figured this out, you know. And so I was working my tail off, getting all the way through college. I met my beautiful wife, Sharon, and we got married. And we graduated, and we started off our lives broke. How many of y'all remember when you started broke, right? Oh, man. We ain't got money, honey, but we got love. Good thing, too, because we ain't got no money. I mean, it was bad. We were eating off a card table. She was driving a 1902 Pinto. Came out of college, and I went through a couple jobs. And I started buying and selling real estate. I grew up in the real estate business. Mom and Dad were in the real estate business, and I was good at it. And starting from nothing, by the time I was 26 years old, I had about $4 million worth of real estate. A little over $1 million net worth. In my best year ever in that business, I made $250,000 cash taxable income 1 year. That's $20,000 a month. I don't know where you grew up. The neighborhood I grew up in, that's known as rich. I was having so much fun. And here's what's weird. I do everything backwards, y'all. 26 years old, our bank that we owed $1,200,000 to got sold to another bank. I know that never happens in your town. And they looked down, they said, a kid 26 years old owes us over $1 million. Let's limit this relationship, which is banker talk for ruin his life. When they called our notes, I had 6 months to come up with over $1 million. And the second largest lender, another bank, $800,000 owed to them, heard I was in trouble because I was in trouble. And it gets out in the town, doesn't it? They're not supposed to talk about it, but they do. And they called another $800,000. $2 million due. It's all tied up in real estate. Man, we spent the next 2.5 years of our life losing everything we owned. We were foreclosed on. We were sued. We were sued so many times. The guy with the sheriff's department that brings the little lawsuit papers, we're like on a first name basis with him. Sharon's making him cookies. And finally, with a brand new baby and a toddler, we hit bottom and we were bankrupt. I didn't know what to do. I was 28 years old. My marriage is hanging on by a thread. Pain is not my preferred method of learning, but it is a thorough teacher. And finally, we were bankrupt. Brand new baby. I remember standing in the shower with it as hot as I could stand it in my face and just stand there and cry because I was so scared. And there was nobody to talk to because I was so ashamed to tell anybody what I had done. Because everybody else has got their act together, right? At least that's what we think, until you find out what's really going on behind closed doors. Now, I've got a finance degree, okay? I've got letters and licenses after my name, you know? And I still did stupid with zeros on the end. And so I found out the Bible has financial principles in it. And I thought, that's pretty cool. If I'm going to be like a Jesus guy, I ought to know what Jesus says. I better read this stuff. And I started reading in it, and I went, oh, I didn't do that right. Ooh, that left a mark. Ooh, ow. Hey, I did that one right. Ooh, my finance teacher actually agrees with that one. Nobody agrees with that one. Have you ever done that? Because I started figuring out this is a love letter to me from my father who's crazy about me. And once I figured that out, it's my marriage manual. It's how we're married. And so I found all those places where she has to do what I say. And then she found those places that that she doesn't. And we started handling our money this way. And I gotta tell y'all something. It worked. It turns out this is the truth. And to the extent this doesn't line up with your feelings, get over yourself. You're wrong. To the extent your broke friend doesn't like your biblical financial principle, well, if broke people are making fun of your financial plan, you're on track. It's like fat people making fun of your diet, okay? Think about this. Unbelievable. So I started finding these things, and there's a lot. I mean, there's like 2,500 scriptures that deal with money and possessions. Our proper view of them, the proper spiritual indication, and the tactical, actual thing you do with money that God says. It was amazing. And it gave a guy who was in a puddle hope, because I didn't have any. I mean, I was on one of these, I do all these TV shows on Fox and CNN, Good Morning America and CBS and all these people, and they were real sweet people and all that. And one of those anchors, I was on there doing a thing with one of my books one time, and they said, okay, this is amazing. You started with nothing, you became a millionaire, you lost everything, and now you're a multimillionaire. How did you bounce back? I said, dude, when you fall that far, you really don't bounce. It's more of a splat. And so I was splatted, man. And we took these principles and everything I could learn about them and understand them from an academic viewpoint, a spiritual viewpoint, historical viewpoint, a socio-economic viewpoint, a psychological viewpoint, an emotional viewpoint, a relational viewpoint, and I started to really understand how money works. Not what your broke brother-in-law's theory is. Because everybody's got an opinion in America today. Thank you, Internet. Everybody's important now. Everybody's opinion matters now. Sorry, but it doesn't. So we started applying these principles to our lives, and it changed our lives. And you know what happens when your life gets changed? People ask you a question. I have a good friend of mine. I was with him last night. In the last year, he has lost 56 pounds. Everyone's sitting around the table talking to him, a bunch of guys sitting out there. You know what we ask him? We ask him, how did you do that? When you see someone's life gets changed, you always say their marriage gets saved, their children get turned around, their finances get turned around, their career goes on a trajectory that's unexplainable, and you always say, how did you do that? When people start asking me, I start telling them. If you've made mistakes with money, you know what that makes you? Over 12. Every one of you have, probably this week. And so have I, and I teach this for a living, and everyone listens to me. But I make fewer mistakes now than I used to make because I found God's word and I applied these devastatingly simple but profound concepts to my life and to my money. Now, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about, but we don't have time. But I can boil it down to 5 things. And the devil hates it when you take notes. So get your pen. 5 things. 5 things. If you do these 5 things that the Bible says with money while earning an income, you do them over and over and over, and all that they imply over a period of 15 to 20 years, you will prosper. It may happen faster, it may happen slower, but you will prosper with the possible exception of a devastating calamity hitting your life that we can't control. We can't control tsunamis and cancer. But those kinds of things aside, if you apply these 5 things, the cause and effect, the sowing and the reaping always happens. 100% of the time, and I will go ahead and tell you, these are tough, they're hard, they're easy to understand, they're hard to do, and if you're really smart, you're going to act like you don't need them. Smart people have the most trouble with this. That's why I was good at it. First one, you have to have a budget. You have to write it down on paper, on purpose, before the month begins. Every dollar has a mission. Every dollar has a name. Not sort of kind of in my head. Not it's on my iPhone app. Write it down on paper, on purpose, before the month begins.